Okay. So, recording is in progress. Baruch Hashem. Good evening. Good Voch. Pashas Emor. Benu has one of the one of Rabbeinu's miraculous Torahs in Torah base number 2, Sichos Haran, that Emor al Kahanim. It talks about how tefillah is the ultimate weapon for everything, for whatever it is that you want, whatever it is that you need, whatever it is that and tefillah can only be acquired. The power of tefillah, the only way it can be acquired is through moral sanctity. Moral sanctity starts with thought control. Obviously, with controlling where one's eyes are looking at. The eyes are the aperture that gets the entire world in. You know, it says that every single organ that acquires data from the outside has a cover, has a mechanism that allows one not to let unwanted information in. So the eyes, they have the eyelids, the mouth can be closed, you know, and the ears, you know, this part of the ear can be plugged in so you don't hear what you need not to hear. But the one aver that does not have a cover is the brain. So as the Gemara says that the main place where people need to be awakened and pushed into action is b'yoysa tzarich lizorez, to push along b'mokum sheyesh chisoron kis, a place where, you know, people need to spend money on it, so you need to push them into action because, you know, a person's lack of generosity maybe getting into the picture. But b'derech remez, you can say b'mokum sheyesh chisoron kis, and what is lacking is that there is no cover. Kis is kisui, is a cover. The brain has no cover. In other words, the minute the eye sees, it goes directly into the brain. The brain itself has an inner eye where you see with the eyes of your mind. And over there, you can't just, you know, shut your brain and expect it to work, you know, to be passive. You know, you close your eyes so you don't see, you know, no matter what goes in your eyes. But the brain doesn't work that way. So the main the main diligence is called for when there is no guardian cover. You have to watch what you think, like a hawk. Because the mind thinks all the time. The mind flies all the time. And thoughts come in and go out. And it's a very common thing for the thoughts to wander. And when the Yetzer Hara has certain thoughts that he insists on pushing on you, it becomes a contest of wills, as it were, between you and Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara wants you to think about those things. I want you to look at those things, whatever. The Yetzer Tov says no, so pushes away. One of the biggest problems with the Yetzer Tov, Yetzer Hara, how do you recognize what is Yetzer Tov and what is Yetzer Hara? The answer is very simple. Anything which seems exquisitely boring, about as interesting as watching paint dry, that's what the Yetzer Tov is. Everything that tells you, man, you're going to have great times, unbelievable, wow, yeah, chances are that's the Yetzer Hara. The thing that you need to think of is, Kodesh Baruch Hu is here. When I come out of this world, I'm going to be standing before him with this particular thought. Because that's what I was trying to tell you, like, what's the big deal? And so you think about one. So what? You're not doing it in front of people. You don't want people to know what's going on in your mind, right? How embarrassing would it be if I have an immoral thought in my mind and a loudspeaker will suddenly announce it in front of everybody around. I mean, amongst people, whatever. And suddenly there's a loudspeaker. Yo, you know what this guy's thinking about? Let me tell you. How much more so? Kodesh Baruch Hu knows. And everything's going to be open. It's already open. I will realize how open it was after 120 years. But it's already open now. Obviously, the reason why it is not so obvious that it's open now is because that's where the choice is. That's what free choice is. And, if somebody's standing upon you, with a sword and says, listen, do this, or I cut your head off, it's not much of a choice. It's okay, I'll do what you want. It doesn't take that much of an inner struggle, does it? Rabbeinu says that it's much easier to work with the neshamas of the departed than to work with people who are alive. He says because the neshamas of the departed already know what's what. Whatever you tell them to do, they do. But when people are alive, no. There's still a ways to go. There's a horror, there's this, there's that. It all begins with guarding your sanctity. The more you guard your sanctity, the more accessible tefillah is. And the thing is, HaKadosh Baruch Hu always answers your tefillahs. You may not you always be aware of it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu always answers your tefillahs. To the point that the Yetzer Hara is already telling you that don't daven about it because you're going to get it, and we don't really want you to get it, do we? You know? Let's say a person is lying in bed, he's supposed to wake up. And I don't really want to wake up. Not yet. So I know if I ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu to wake up, I'll get up, but I don't really want to get up. So I don't even want to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu to wake up because I know I'm going to wake up. But I do have to wake up. And I want to get up. I want to go to shul. I want to daven. So I don't want to call, so I can call HaKadosh Baruch Hu in my thought. I can daven if I can't get over my rotzin, or my lack of rotzin, whatever you want to call it, to call out to ask the Rebbeinu Shalom, please help me get up. So you can call out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in your thought, Rebbeinu Shalom, please let me get up. You can also get to the point that Yetzer Hara is he's not that dumb. And he doesn't even let you daven in your thought. So what you can do is you can cry out in your thought. You're not saying any words. Like, what's the truth? The truth is I need to get up. But I don't want to get up. And I'm caught in a quagmire between a rock and a hard place. So I'm just calling out in my own mind. The Rebbe says a person can scream out in his mind. Nobody else will hear it. But the Yetzer Hara knows that too. And he says, yeah, you don't want to scream. Come on, man. You want to sleep. You don't want to scream. You want to keep on sleeping or whatever it is that you want to do or don't want to do. There is an answer. There is another answer. That you keep your mind on that thing. Getting up. I need to get up. I don't want to get up. Having this back and forth with the Yetzer Hara that I can't even scream in my own mind. Just in my own mind. I can't do it. So what you can do is you can just shut up in your thought with a plain rotzvein to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Not saying anything, not meaning anything. You're just totally letting go. Closing up your mouth, your mind, the mouth of your mind and the mind of your mind. You just, everything stands still. Even that HaKadosh Baruch Hu hears. Even that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will do whatever it is you want. And you'll get up, B'ezrat Hashem. You'll do what it is what you need to do. The one t'nai that you need to do is you have to be diligent about Kedusha, about your sanctity. You absolutely need to do that. You can't just say, I'm going to look what I want to look at, I'm going to say what I want to say, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, but whatever it is, truth of the matter, HaKadosh Baruch Hu always hears you. But if you want to have this immediacy between you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the first thing to watch out for is Emor el Kahanim lenefesh lo yitama be'amav. Tell the Kahanim, that part, that priesthood inside your head. You want to get HaKadosh Baruch Hu lo yitama be'amav. Don't defile yourself. Don't soil yourself with improper thoughts, improper looks, improper. Once you do that, the road between your Kodesh Baruch Hu and the Tzaddikim is open. Let's take B'ezrat Hashem a story from the Baal Shemtov. For this week, B'ezrat Hashem will be gebenched for a fantastic week. We all know that the Baal Shemtov's brother-in-law was the famous Reb Gershon Kittiver. He was a big, besides being a big tzaddik, he was a big Talmid Chacham. The whole story, how his father, his father and the father of his sister, was a Choshev Yid. I think he was a Soicher. And he was with another person at a town in Baal Shemtov. And the Baal Shemtov, at that town, the Baal Shemtov was totally hidden. It was before he became revealed, and nobody really knew what he was. They knew a little bit about, this. So people used to come before him for Din Torah. And when the father of Gershon Kittiver, he came to this town, he had with another person, and the other person and him had some kind of a commercial dispute between them. And they decided to come before the Baal Shemtov for Din Torah. People already know the Baal Shemtov, Talmid Chacham, so and so on. But nobody knew who he really was. When Baal Shemtov saw him, he immediately realized that this is the father of his wife-to-be. And so after the Din Torah or whatever, he got together with him, and he revealed himself singularly to that particular person. He actually showed him who he was. So the father of Gershon Kittiver became it blew his mind. And he told him, I have a daughter. I don't know if she was Almana, I don't know what the story was, but I don't know if but anyhow, she said he has a daughter. How about we make a shidduch and you marry her? The Baal Shem Tov, no, that's his wife. So he said, yes, we'll do that. And let's write the shtar of the Tnoim, whatever it is, that we're making a shidduch. But don't write any kind of titles about me. Just write my name is, Reb Simcha, Reb Yisrael ben Elazar. It's the, I think his father's name was Elazar. My name is Yisrael, just Yisrael ben, and his father went home. Her father went home, and he passed away. When he passed away, they found amongst his papers, they found this shtar that he made a shidduch between his daughter and Saba named Yisrael. And so it was very, very weird. It's like, who is this Yisrael? Nobody knew. So after some time, Yisrael Baal Shemtov, the Baal Shemtov came to that town, and he looked like a peasant. A very simple, boorish kind of rough guy. And he came to the house and said, I want to marry my, betrothed, my kala-to-be, my fiancé. Gershon Kittiver was daf based in town, and he was mortified my sister's going to marry this Amaret. But his sister said, listen, if our father made this shidduch, I trust and believe that he knows what he was doing. I'm going to go ahead with it. And she met with the Baal Shemtov. And the Baal Shemtov revealed himself to her. And he said, the t'nai is that you're not going to let anybody know. We're not going to live in town, we're going to live out of town. And she's just, everybody else is going to think that I'm a total Amaretz. Don't let anybody know. It's Beseda. And so, I mean, her brother, Gershon was extremely embarrassed, extremely humiliated. What kind of shidduch? His sister is marrying this peasant, this Poshet Amaretz. And they got married, they lived out of town. He was very happy to get away from his sight, doesn't to deal with him, to be embarrassed by him. Then came the whole story. I mean, he was really upset with him. He saw that, there's during Cholamoid, he saw Baal Shem Tov having put on film. Shulchan says, not to put on film, but in Ashkenaz, some people are noig to put on film. That was so he asked the Baal Shem Tov, why you not filming on Shem? He said, I saw in a sefer that says not to put on film. I became incensed. And this is that they left town. There's a whole story of how until the Baal Shem Tov was revealed. And once he was revealed, his brother-in-law already found out who he was, and he became his Talmud. The story that we are telling tonight about the Baal Shem Tov's Chus Yagen Aleinu has to do with his brother Gershon Kittever that did make it to Eretz Yisrael. He became a Talmud of the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, and of course there's the famous letter that the Baal Shem Tov wrote his brother-in-law that he told him that he had this aliyas neshama. Baal Shem Tov's neshama would go up to Shemaim, come down freely. It was the aliyas neshama express of the Baal Shem Tov, and the Baal Shem Tov tells him that he writes in this letter, that he had aliyas neshama, and he went to. This is very famous. He went to the Heichel of Mashiach. He asked Mashiach, Emosai Katimar, when are you going to come? So Mashiach told him, when your spring water will spread out, your teachings will spread out, and he said, and everybody will be able to do Yichudim, which is, unifications and Kabbalistic meditations. V'aliyas neshama, kamoicha, like you. Hashem said he was very distraught. Everybody will be able to make Yichudim and aliyas neshama like him. And he says, and then he found out another secret that mollified this distress that he felt. This is a very famous letter. People like to recite the first part. Said to Mashiach, when you're coming, when your teachings will be spread out, but they usually don't mention the second part. Everybody will be able to make Yichudim, aliyas neshama like you. That is not mentioned. So here we go. Arav HaKodesh Gershon Kittever asked his brother-in-law and his Rebbe, the Baal Shem Tov, that he should be able to be zocher to Gilui Elei HaNovi, revelation of Elei HaNovi. Baal Shem Tov told him, listen, it's not for you. So Baal Shem Tov still, he begged him. Baal Shem Tov says, okay. He says, but I'm warning you, you're not going to like that meeting. Okay. Gershon accepted him. I mean, what difference does it make to me? I like it, I don't like it, I'm not zeicher to this. So the Baal Shemtov said, go to the Hekdesh. That's the place, where people, the beggars live, what they got, in the soup kitchens, whatever. And he find there a person who is full with, with boils. And his head is stuck to his head because of the pus and the boils. And go to him and not approach him as a Rav or Rebbe or anything. Just ask him, be my guest for Shabbos. That's it. So Rebbe Sheketeva did that. So the poor person looked at him and he said, I fast all week long. And you're gonna, you're gonna take time, your table's very long, you take a long time eating, whatever it is, I don't want it. Rebbe Sheketeva said, I promise, I won't wait long. So he went with his guest, to the shul, and he came home. He started, singing, Mekadim, the Malach HaShoras that came with him, such a guest. Now he started, such, Shalom Aleichem Malach HaShoras, he started. The guest said, no, you're already starting with your tricks. Yom HaShishi, Mekadosh Shabbos, that's it, I don't want to hear anything more. No, they had no choice. Kittel did it quickly and they started the Suda. The guest started eating, he ate up like inhuman, he started eating everything, like locust, he finished absolutely everything on the table. Until they had to bring food from the neighbors. Rosh Kittel was amazed. Such a eating frenzy. No Zmiras, no Divrei Torah. He said, okay, maybe you'll see the Avodah Le'anovi Chatzos. He didn't say anything then either. Immediately, the guest went to sleep. Immediately, he told him the same thing. In the morning, he wants to daven immediately, no preparation, because doesn't want to be hungry until half day. He went to daven with him. He thought maybe he'll see something davening. Did not see a thing. They came home. They started with the Shabbos. The guest finished everything. The meat, the fish, everything. Again, they had to bring home from the neighbors. Afterward, he went to rest. So the Shlishis, he refused to eat. He says he only eat twice a day. Of course, the whole Shabbos was a big fiasco. Gershon Kittel. So, Motzei Shabbos, he told his guest, my big Rebbe, I know that you are Eliyahu Novi. I want to see something from you. So his guest told him, if I'm Eliyahu Novi, what a malach can eat? So was stunned. Then the guest took Rosh Kittel to the next room. And he showed him all the foods that he seemed to have been eating throughout Shabbos. All the food was on the table. And he told him, listen, these things are not for you. Dealing with our Novi with this, don't do this. Stay away from this. He says, don't investigate your brother-in-law, the Baal Shemtov, with whom I'm familiar with, and be well. And he was gone. That's the story of Gershon Kittel with Eliyahu Novi. And Sichos Haran. Let's take a quick look at Sichos Haran, and we'll see what Rabbeinu has to tell us. Sichos Haran 123, Kuf Kof Chaf Gimel. He says, "Me'inyan ktsas hanoshim shemiskarben avodas Hashem yisbarach." About some people who get close to Kodesh Baruch Hu. V'achar kach misrachim, and then they they go distant, they go away. And he said, "Va'afal pichen yokor etzel Hashem Yisborach." It is extremely precious by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That coming is karvus be'atzmo, even though it's temporary, and even if afterwards happens whatever happens. Shemilach. I mean, it says Matan Torah itself. It says, "Libavtini be'echas man." You have transfixed me. You charred me with one of your eyes. What do you mean, one of your eyes? The Medrash says, what is one of your eyes? That in the second eye they already looked at the Egel. They gave one eye to Kodesh Baruch Hu Matan Torah. The second eye was already looking at there's going to be Egel as well. Even while Matan Torah was going away, they already had it in mind. They're going to go away. It was extremely precious by Kodesh Baruch Hu. That kind of iskarvus, the way it is, you have charming with one of your eyes, because that itself is extremely precious by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So let's talk about this for a minute. One of the most pervasive tendencies is for people to feel dissatisfied with themselves, especially when they fail. I did what I did and I managed, and look at me now. I worked so hard and this, whatever it is, and here I go finding myself in places that it's embarrassing even to talk about that. But a person should know that this is akin to somebody who is going to an island. And in this island, the ground was covered with diamonds. So that person went and filled his pockets with diamonds. So the people of the island says, "What the heck are you doing?" So he said, "What do you mean? These are diamonds." So what are you talking about? This is sand. I mean, it's plentiful. Anywhere you go on this island, you have it covering the ground anywhere. Then they have fruits that were precious over there. Different kind of foods that were precious over there. Diamond, it's like the sand, it's nothing. And he lived there for a while, and after a while he sort of like got into that mindset of the people that those diamonds come out of the house, it's filled with diamonds. It's just like there's nothing there. But the fruits are unbelievable and it's rare or whatever it is. So, he emptied out his pockets and he filled up whatever it is he could with these very precious fruit. And after a while, a ship came. The ship, with his pockets full with the fruits and everything. And when he came to his homeland, and he opened up his satchels, whatever it is, and all the fruit rotted. And it was totally worthless. So people asked him, "What did you bring from that island with this rotten fruit?" Didn't remember, but the ground was strewn with diamonds. But he emptied out his pockets from these diamonds and filled up with his perishable fruits instead. So after he threw out all this, rotted fruit, he started looking and he found, between the sewings of his pocket, and it was this, in the nooks and the crannies, there was a diamond here, there was a diamond there. And with these diamonds, he got a tremendous amount of money from them. The nimshal is whatever it is that you have done, any mitzvah that you have done, any word of chizuk that you have given to somebody to come close to Kodesh Baruch Hu, any effort that you have put in into your Yiddishkeit is never, ever lost. Apparently, unless you actually are regretting that you did the mitzvahs, then probably you lose them. But other than that, this is a very mechaber mitzvah. Any word of Torah, that any word of Torah that you learned, that you taught to somebody else, is like that diamond is caught in the seams of your clothes, of your pockets, of your satchel. It's never, ever, ever lost. That is, if a person, there are times in a person's life that a person is sorely tested, gets married, midlife crisis, various times, when he gets into like a trance, like a hypnotic trance. A person can get some kind of a shigon, some kind of a craziness into his head, and go off on a tangent that can include a tremendous amount of unfortunate things. And the Yitzhar tells you, okay, just forget about it. This is where you are, this you belong, you're garbage, you belong in the garbage. But a person should know that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is so great. This is a word of Rebbe Dushnitzer, the famous Mashgiach of the Lomji Yeshiva in Petach Tikva. And he said as follows: the Kadosh Baruch Hu is so great that it is worthwhile for a person to having gone through his whole life, 80, 90 years, 100 years, whatever, without Torah and without mitzvahs and without Masam Teva. And obviously, if a person did not do those things, if you don't go without Torah, don't go mitzvahs, obviously you have the opposite of Shem Yerachim. He says it's all worthwhile for once in your lifetime to say Amen on a bracha. Because bracha is that great. Your entire lifetime, once to say Amen on a bracha, take it. It's a great deal. How much more so if a person was zeicha to put on film and to daven and to come to the tzaddik and learn and then he falls off. We all know people like that. What they have done is never lost. They're not even close to people that it seems like that have never been there. They said it's, in English they say it's better to have loved and lost to not having loved at all. There's nowhere that is more true than in Avodas Hashem. Because every single look that you look at the Kadosh Baruch Hu, every single wish that you could get close to Kadosh Baruch Hu is extremely precious to Hashem Yisborach. And if you want to understand why is this so precious, what's the value of this? I don't know if I have here. Hold on, let me take a look. Let's see. I may have. Yes. So give me a sec. No, I don't. Okay. Pencil. Okay? You know, some pencils have this eraser. You know, the back tip of the pencil, you know? How much do you think such an eraser costs? You know, we all had it in school, right? It was just a little tip at the back of the erasers. How much is it worth? Maybe 0.000 cent per piece, or less. What kind of a business? Why would anybody go into a business to sell something to manufacture something which is so cheap as the eraser tip of a pencil? I mean, how much money can you make out of this? It's minuscule. Yeah, but it depends who your client is. Imagine you're making 1/10 of a cent per piece, but your client happens to be the education department of the United States of America. I think that you would be living rather nicely. You're making hand over fist with this. So it's not really how much this single thing is worth, because of who your client is. When you're doing a mitzvah, it seems like, it's a little diamond, in the world where only fruits are considered to be valuable. But who your client is, Kadosh Baruch Hu is your client. Melech Malchei Amlochim, endless. He is your client. So the tiniest good deed that you have ever done never gets lost. And it outweighs absolutely everything. We're going through things in our lives. There's nothing we can do about it. And when we're going through these things, it's no fun. There's a lot to talk about this particular Indian. But this particular thing that Rabbeinu is saying is extremely important. Let's just take a quick look at it and read it again. מעניין קצת אנשים ומזכרבים לעבוד את השם יסבורה ואחר כך מתרחקים. אונה ואומר אף על פי כן יקר אצל השם יסברך היזכרבס בעצמי. It is extraordinarily precious by Hashem Yisborach, that coming close. Afaf lefisha, even though it's only temporary. And he brings the Mashal Masan Torah. Even when they did the mitzvah, they already had it in mind to go away. It is precious, it's endlessly precious. Hashem Yisborach us to understand that what we are doing, even if it doesn't shine to us at all time, what we are doing is precious beyond any imagination. There's no way Bechlal to even come close to imagining what it is that we are getting by every single little thing that we did, even if we're no longer doing it. Even if we fall Hashem Yirachem into the worst thing in the world, Chas v'Chalila. That which we did is nevertheless. Zerko says, Les Reusa Tova Disave, there's not even one good will that ever gets lost. Baruch Hashem, we have a Rebbe. Baruch Hashem, we have a Rebbe. We can lean on this koyach b'zat Hashem. Everything will be fixed. Everything will be fixed. Rabbeinu said, one of the Sichos that we learned together, that the person should have children, and they come out, you think they did the way they should, don't worry about it. Because Mashiach b'zat Hashem will fix all the children, all the way back to Adam Rishon, all the neshamas. Don't worry about it. It worked out, didn't work out, came out good, didn't come out good, don't worry about it. Because of the tzaddikim, everything will be fine. Everything is fine. Shkoch Godlush, have a great week. Mitzvah Shem. We'll be seeing you on Monday. Sipurey Maisius. Atzlocha b'chol ha'inyonim. And Kol Tov.